Hello everybody, welcome to another rapid speedrun game on our quest to uncover the truth about the geometry behind chess. We're facing Achilles Nobre, rated 1525, who's going to be facing our Pirc defense. Let's see how much knowledge he has around those structures. So we start with our fianchetto and our castle to reach our starting position. And we see what type of setup white adopts. He goes for the early e5. You already know if this is good or bad. I'm not even going to say it. So we take the pawn, because that's why you play d6 on move 1, to take the pawn when it comes to e5 in most situations. Sometimes you also have knight retreat, which is good, knight d7. But in this case, we can take his queen with check. So we go down this route. Now his king moves, and now we have this very standard knight g4, hitting this pawn, and this is why the early e5 push is not good for white. Now this guy's rated 1525. A 1525 on chess.com would not fall into this, but a 1525 on Lichess does. So we'll take the free pawn. It also comes with a threat on the bishop. And his king is in a weird spot. So he moves the bishop, and I just want a castle for simplicity. King safety, or up a pawn. He develops a knight, and we can just develop a new piece. Towards the center, he takes. You don't have to take with the knight, but I think I want to go check, and then whenever he moves his king, I take the bishop. Get my piece back. If he takes my knight, I take his knight, and if he takes my pawn, I take his rook. So let's throw this intermezzo in, because I'd rather have the bishop than the knight, because the bishop is long range. And he has to make a decision about his king, which is not fun. So he attacks my knight. So now I can even basically reroute it for free to f5 and then take the knight. But he can defend the knight. Let's take the bishop. We're now threatening stuff. He takes back, we take back. Okay, so what happened was we just traded two sets of pieces, but I got his bishop off the board, and I still up my pawn. So now I have the bishop pair. So let me tuck back in my hole. And then we can develop our other bishop with threats. We can move our rooks to the d file, but first he moves the knight with a threat, a double threat. So maybe you should have put your bishop back here. It would have been just a simpler way to play, but also doesn't matter. We're going to ignore him. A lot of people would freak out, and they would push a6 or c6, or I mean c6 probably even works, but so he moves the pawn. If we attack this one, he'll probably move it again. So now that we've developed our piece, connected our rooks, we can consider the c6 option. If rook takes pawn, pawn takes knight, we win material. If knight takes pawn, his knight's kind of pinned, which is super awkward. I mean, let's see what he does. I'm curious to see. Okay, he doesn't want to play those games, so he centralizes the knight. Fine. Or we are at material, we could take it, but that would leave an opposite color bishop, which I don't want. However, having said that, there's nowhere good to move my bishop except here, but I suppose you could restructure your pawn chain. So we'll just temporarily go to d7. He's blocking the d file, so we'll block it for a turn. And now we can kick the knight, and the knight is dominated, so it has to retreat. This allows our bishop to go to a favorable diagonal. as well as create a pawn chain if we want. He reroutes the knight, probably aiming for this. But I'm going to go here because if he does that, that would isolate a pawn if I take, which would give me a different type of advantage. So instead he's going for some pawn pushes, but I don't even know what that does. So now it's time to get a rook to the open d file. Maybe we just play a6, but maybe not. He might move this at some point, but he has to develop his bishop, but it's terrible. So he moves the pawn. The drawback, it creates no threats. The drawback is it undefends the knight. So if takes, I now have access to this square. And when he attacks me, I pick up a pawn. If he defends the pawn, I can almost double at that point. Let's do that. I'm giving away my bishop pair, but I'm keeping this pressure. And I get to infiltrate, so it seems like a nice operation. I'm up a pawn. And it's not opposite color bishops, right? It's same. He's now blocking his rook to defend the pawn. This is what I wanted. It's misplacing his pieces. I would like to double, but that hangs the a pawn. So double, hang the a pawn. The thing is I don't have like a good square. So let's spend one tempo with a6. And now we could throw the rook in. He tries to do a nice rook lift. I don't really see where he's going though, so I'm just going to double. I mean, where's he going? Here? Here? Maybe c4, but then I just protect the pawn. Okay, so he takes the semi-open file. I'm just going to go e6, stopping any rook pressure. He goes there anyway, but I don't see how that really makes sense. I guess it's just a defensive maneuver. Since it's a defensive maneuver and we're up material, I see no reason not to force the issue. His bishop, well, technically, yeah, he can ignore me, but I still get the rook trade, whether he takes or doesn't take. And now I could bring in my last piece, cut him off. These are somewhat weak, targetable. Okay, I'm still up 4 versus 3 on this side, which is my win condition, along with just a better position, better pieces and stuff. So he tries to, the problem with him pushing his 3 into my 4 is he's going to create a pass pawn for me with his turns instead of me having to use my turns to create it, which is less than ideal for him. But I can see what he's trying to do, maybe trying to get some scope, right? Something like that, probably. If you take and he infiltrates, that looks suspicious. Otherwise, we have interesting option of pushing. How good is that though? Can we maintain this? Here. I guess since his bishop's terrible, we can try it. This blocks the e-file from his rook, which denies the counterplay he's looking for. If you can maintain this, you're just much better. Or, you know, clearly winning, so. I guess we take back with the 8s because we want to have defense. He's trying to break down our thing, but at the end of it all, we're just going to have a pass pawn. Takes. What's he even going for? I'm just going to lift my king just to improve my third piece. He lifts his rook, but why? Maybe just to get it off a dark square? Or maybe to contest or something? Bit weird. Maybe he wants to go here. I don't really know. Okay, so I'm just going to protect my pawn. My connected pass pawn. A clear win condition. He improves my king for me. Thank you. Now bishop here creates a threat. Let's just put the brakes on that. He moves his king closer. We offer trades with completely winning endgame. If he avoids them, he has to go back. Isn't this mass trade? Now I force all the trades because of this. And the game is over because we have a pass pawn and he doesn't. So now while he tends to this pawn, we'll gobble these pawns. So he's trying to liquidate so we don't, I guess, have that, but let's take away these squares from his king, deny any, well, he's basically in zugzwang, right? He can't push a pawn. He has to move the king. Here, 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 back in zugzwang. Take the opposition. Now we infiltrate. He takes opposition, but we push the pawn. He goes in front, we get opposition. Now we have access. And that's just simple endgame technique. Here, if he goes here, we can just decoy him, deflect him to the left, and then go gobble up everything on the right. I didn't even look this, I wasn't even paying attention, but we might have, like if we go back and I go, oh no, you can't force a queen. Okay, so what I did was fine. I didn't even look though. Okay, so we won a pawn. He's again in zugzwang, right? So if we make a pass, he has to move his king, which undefends this. So that's why, well, it's backwards on the camera, but zugzwang, the best concept in chess. And he resigns. Correct decision. So let's go through the game and see if we did anything really dumb. So first of all, we don't even reach our starting position of castling because he attacks us very early with the early e5 push. Whenever they do this, there's two options. It's either a situation where you take or where you retreat your knight. So look at those moves. We take, he takes, queen trade, he takes, black's better. Double attack for free. Free stuff. Black is -2. Okay, king safety. Development towards the center. He takes, we throw in this cheeky intermezzo to force further trades. That's all that happens. It's -2. Force move. He goes for this. What's the best move? Okay, so developing your bishop is best, or c6. But they develop it, they also include this, which is interesting, because if it hits the knight and takes, are you just putting it, oh I see, there's the c pawn behind it, and I guess d7 to put it here at some point. That's interesting. We just developed, still -2. And now a6 or c6. So a6, knight takes, you just ignore it, material's even, you just have a much better position. It's crazy though that that's -3. Well, it's not that crazy, your position's just really strong. But -3 is a lot. Anyway, we go c6. And if he does take, what's our best move? H5, yeah, that's what I was going to play for sure. I very much like e5. E5, interesting. Yeah, probably e5. Anyway, he didn't take. He retreated. We retreated. Now we throw in this forcing move to remove his most active piece from the center. And we take this diagonal. We could have taken this and, forced more pawn moves, but this looks fine. Development in center. And now, okay, you don't have to take the knight, but humanly speaking, it's extremely easy to win if you do. So why not? You could definitely build up the pressure, but you can also instantly infiltrate. And if white wants to hold this, he has to play. He's still worse, and maybe he can't hold it. But assuming he could hold it, he would have to play perfect, perfect, perfect. And to do that with these pawns and this pressure and this here and your king, you just can't play perfect. It's so hard. So he moves his king. We put in this move so we can move our rook. We double, most obvious idea. We remove the attacked pawn. And then we force trades. You don't have to force trade. You can always just build up pressure. But because this is, just an online speed run, 10-minute games, we just do like the most simple thing we can find that might lead to human win. So we trade. He takes. It's -2. But I make this mistake. They call it a mistake. I guess if I go to d5, he can never push any of these, really. If I don't go to d5, what's his best move? Is it to push like he did? Yeah, his only move, the only reason they're calling this a mistake is because of the move f5, which he played. And I push past. What's the best move? Okay, you can take or push past. But if push past works, I definitely want to play that. And they're saying, why isn't this just totally crushing though? h5. What do you play, like takes and f6? G takes. You can take either one. Let's say we take this one and he takes. You either run your king to the center or develop your bishop, but this is an equal game with perfect play from white. I'd be scared. I don't know what they're talking about. I guess they don't want you to run into this. Rook e2? This is the only move for equality? Like, the engine it's way too perfect. There's no, like, easy way to find crazy moves. I don't know. So anyway, we make a very normal move, looking for trades, and a 4 versus 3 endgame. That's what we're going for. He pushes, we push past. Let's turn off the lines. He takes, we're forced to take. He pushes, and now it gives me my one and only blunder of the game. Of course, black is still better, but it's a blunder from missing a winning opportunity. The winning opportunity is the only move that's not considered a blunder is take this pawn. Now let me see. If I take this pawn and he takes my pawn, do I have just an automatic win there? Oh, maybe they want just f5, pawn side by side. That's super strong. Otherwise, if takes, this pawn can always capture the f pawn, and you can't get the duo. See, I don't even consider these things, because that's more like, take some time to think about. But if I do take this, and he takes, yeah, f5 they want. And they're just saying these two pawns are automatically, easily winning. Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. But I played the third move, just a very simple king h7, trying to improve my king. But they're saying now he has h6 resource. And if you take the pawn, you hang this pawn. And if you don't take the pawn, like you move it, he can solidify. That's crazy. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense, actually. So if he plays this and you take, oh, he can also pin it. Oh, God. No, you can't do that. Yeah, so in light of that, king h7 is a terrible move. Let's play f5 and If he takes this pawn, do we just push past? We do. The only winning move is f4. And we slowly creep our king in. Yeah, it looks like a slow way to win. Okay, so we played a pretty bad move, all things considered. Black's still better, but if he did go down that line h6, I definitely don't like the look of it, even if black's better. That's crazy, because remember when the engine was saying in that other line I was looking at, rook e2 was the winning move, and he plays it here, but I guess he's just trying to cover this or something. In any case, it's -3. So the second he doesn't play that line that the computer wanted, it's not just, oh, black's a little better, it's black's completely winning. So that makes some sense. And now I find best move f6, which is not intuitively like a lot of players wouldn't just play it because we've been doing so much other stuff. You've had the opportunity to play f6 a couple moves, but you didn't. Now we play it to solidify everything. Now he doesn't have this, so like if he tries that thing before, now when we take the pawn, it's not hanging. And he can't rook over because he put it on the wrong square. So we play f6 just to solidify our winning advantage of -3. He improves our king. We protect the weakness and force the trade. It's -5. We force mash trades, and once it's just king and pawn endgame, and you have a extra pass pawn, you win the game if you have good technique or good understanding. In any case, okay, we get only a 92%, which makes some sense because we did make a terrible move, king h7, which I really don't like. But other than that, pretty decent game. Hopefully this gave you some ideas how to play the Pirc against early e5 stuff, maybe how to convert an endgame up a pawn. Either way, good luck in your chess. Goodbye.